Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. and ask Cindy, the city clerk, to read a statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act into the record.
This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, with the meeting notice provided to the Trenton Times, the Hunterdon County Democrat, individuals on the listserv, and department heads. The meeting agenda was posted on the bulletin board at City Hall and the website. The meeting agenda contains known items of action items at the time of publication and is subject to change. This meeting is being streamed live and recorded using the Zoom meeting platform. Roll call.
Yes, please.
Councilwoman Kaminsky. Here. Councilwoman Lambert. Here. Councilman Lai.
Here.
Council President Stegman.
Here.
Mayor Noah.
Here. All right, will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of Veterans Day. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Nice to have you all with us. We're going to just make a slight adjustment to the agenda here. We're going to hold off on public participation just for a minute. We're going to swear in our newest patrolman, Officer Henry Ziliox. So welcome to Officer Ziliox. He's been with Hunterdon County Office of Corrections, the Sheriff's Office, since 2009, and we've successfully managed to poach him. So welcome, and if you'll join me up here, we'll swear you in. All right, you could repeat after me. I, Henry, yes, thank you for doing that. That's something I forget. I, Henry Ziliox, do solemnly swear
I, Henry Ziliox, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in these United States
in these United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all duties of a patrolman
all duties of a patrolman
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome to the day. Good to have you. Sign there.
It's not the invisible ink, and is it?
No. We use that for you.
Take it back later.
Good. We're very happy to have you with
All right,
us.
thank you.
again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Here.
Oh, picture. Thanks. See you soon.
Everybody was in.
All right, we'll move on to public participation. We welcome all public comment at City Council meeting. We will ask you if you'd like to make a public comment or ask a question, step up to the podium unless you have mobility issues. You'll please state your name and your address. You have 3 minutes from the podium to make any remarks and or questions. And the chair and council members may not respond. But is there anyone in the room who would like to speak? Sarah?
Hi, I'm Eric Richardson from 23 North Union Street from Under the Moon. Just real quick, I just wanted to bring to, a bunch of the people from the business districts and residents, we went to the Bridge Commission meeting on this past Monday. And what was interesting, we were there for several hours, and basically at the end of the meeting, us kind of bringing up what our concerns were and how we wanted more rapid information from them, that we felt they weren't really responding timely enough. Like, for example, I sent a communication over 2 weeks ago at this point. I have not received a response. A lot of points of information we want just to be able to start to close the loop so that we can give information to our customers. And really, it's something we've been bringing up since June. And basically, the issue being at the end of that meeting, it's pretty much, we were all told that they were confused why we were there. They basically were turfing us back to the city, saying the city has to help you with this. So we're in a little bit of an abyss right now that we were pushing them, because we really thought, after talking with everyone, it didn't make sense to go to the commission and say, hey, look, here's the things that we need. Why aren't we getting these answers? What's going to happen timeline wise, signage wise, how are we mitigating the risk? You know, just general questions that we had. And really basically, it became a little bit combative, I would say. And then really resulting in, they didn't know why we were there as opposed to be here. And we kind of explained that we did come here, but you know, that you guys only have a certain level of jurisdiction. We were looking for them to give input. So basically, it's left us kind of in the middle of nowhere. So just want to bring it back to everybody's attention and kind of see if, you know, anybody has any idea what we do next, how we can get some next steps, get them to respond to the questions that we're asking, so that we can at least have the content we want. They really just had a lot of excuses in terms of the information they were giving us back, or not able to respond, why they weren't able to respond. That's kind of left us with not having answers, still not having the information we need. And it's, you know, now the 2nd of November. I have customers that are booking parties January 6th. I need to tell them what their plan is for transportation, how they're doing what they're doing. They're asking me now, and now I can't answer. 6 months ago, they weren't asking me, but now they are. So that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break what I usually hold off on responding to the comments till the end, but I'm gonna take this one now, in case anybody else would like this update at the beginning of the meeting rather than toward the end. So first of all, I thank you for that. I did have a phone conversation with Commissioner Pugnati after the meeting, and I have to thank Councilwoman Kaminsky, who arranged a meeting with some folks from the county, and we went up there today. We met Mark Salek, who's with the economic director of the Chamber of Commerce, Brad Meyer, the county administrator, Tara Shepard, who's the executive director of Go Hunterdon, and Shannon Taylor, also with the county. And I'm going to actually ask the councilwoman to give kind of an update of that meeting, and again thank her for her advocacy and for you know, kind of trying to get out of this.
Yeah, first of all, I know I'm a little confused too why the bridge would be doing that. And I find, as we noted today at our meeting, the behavior of the bridge is very puzzling them, because trying to have the answers to even disseminate, you can't even, they tell you to go to the website. Look, I've called them and they told me to go to the website, which blows my mind, you know? But just to put that aside for a minute, because I think we need to continue to pursue the bridge for some definitive answers. I just can't let this behavior go on. It just seems that government to government, that we've got to get some more answers. But in the better news category, we met with the county today, and the county is offering to help us with the marketing and the QR code, some of the things that we've been talking about. We kind of split the offering up into 2 different spaces. One was our workforce needs, which was to be able to communicate with residents about how going back and forth across the bridge, and when shuttles would be available for them for going to work, getting more workforce needs, and having bilingual information available. We talked about the county in their economic development and tourism department has a tourism program, which I'm sure you're familiar with. They have a website, they print materials, they have a lot of different programs. So through that program, they would be printing and workforce information stuff. We'd be able to, we'll come up with a way to distribute it, and through you know, the school listserv and things like that to get out to residents, so covering the residents function. And then the tourism aspect, the tourism department is getting together with their graphics folks to come up with a program for us, a signage program, a QR code that would have the information that we don't quite have yet about the shuttle, you know, Robin, you know, and wanted to do kind of like they're gonna use their consultants, come up with like a positive spin on it, and I'm like, oh my God, the bridge is closing, but you know, try to come up with some fun stuff and come up with some materials that once they get that together in drafts that will kind of. I propose like that we have a meeting with the chamber and businesses to, you know, take a look at it, so they'll know what, you know, what is coming. We also talked about doing little palm cards that could stay in businesses that would have information about the shuttle and the QR code, signage. You know, with the QR code but with great, with graphics, you know, following like their whole like tourism program stuff. They offered to, you know, do some stuff like make bags available and stuff, some tour, you know, just some stuff to be able to lighten the load here and get us some support for marketing what the bridge is going to be delivered and that we're open for business.
Thank you.
So we're gonna continue to make that connection. We also talked too about, you know, connecting with them beyond this event too, and, you know, getting some tourism grant money for them for programs that we would like to do. They don't like to do individual events, but to be able to, you know, pursue some things that we could also kind of piggyback with them and reach a larger audience. They have a pretty big website and they do a lot of creative things, so.
Okay.
We're doing that. But I don't know about anybody else about back to the bridge issue. I do think that we need to continue to pursue the bridge commission now that what the 31st was the closure for the right. Suppose they have the answers to the RFP.
Right.
Hopefully, you know, people responded and there'll be information available, but
Right.
now what? And we have to firm this up we need to firm this in very soon so we can have these, you can have the information, we can have the information. And I think we really do need to formally push them and the phone calls. I know I had written a letter from the council. I know, Mayor, you didn't want to send a letter, but I have a draft of a letter that we could send to them. But I think we need to just, you know, we have to keep, as I said, going over the hill at that to get some closure on this, because it is a lot bigger than what they kind of like to tell you. It's very vague. Like, when is it gonna start?
Yeah.
You know?
I think that.
Eric, we're not gonna go back and forth, I'm sorry. we don't
Oh,
do that.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sure.
Can we
We're not gonna bring up procedure here.
let's well then I guess I'll close and then we'll have another.
I just need to make one correction. It's not that I didn't want to send a letter, it's that when I talked to the commissioner, he said that no need to send a letter because they weren't going to come to the meeting. So, I think it's an important distinction. Okay. Thanks.
Josh Lenko, 32 Bridge Street. Following up what Eric said and Karen just said, you know, government to government, you know, you are our governing body. We're feeling like yesterday's leftovers being passed between commissions and councils, and they're not answering us. They're not answering you. You know, sometimes I would say as a governing body, go to their boss. You can go to the governor. You are a governing body. Push it. You know, there should be no reason why they don't answer. If they don't answer, then they're probably hiding something. So what are they hiding? They should answer. And if they don't answer to you, go ahead. I can call the governor's office and they don't care about me, right? You are a town, a city, a municipality, and a governing body. Use your voice collectively and push this. It just can't keep going like this. They have no interest in what is important to the business community. The fact that they are not even entertaining keeping pedestrian traffic open on weekends like they did in 2004, without explaining why this is different than 2004. In 2004, they widened the sidewalk and they still managed to keep it open. How is this different? They won't answer the question. And not having that pedestrian traffic is going to kill us. And we need that efficacy to make this really apparent. Because they're not shopping in the stores and eating in the restaurants either. They're just killing us. That's painful. Thank you.
Sorry, Jessica Saltstein, 13 North Union. I want to reiterate exactly what Eric Josh said. We are small businesses and we rely on foot traffic. We rely on tourism and we need help. We need help. And we would really appreciate the council, the mayor, to please help us. That's number one. Number two, with the loss of the Wells Fargo parking lot and loss of the Central Business District parking lot in Lambertville, parking needs to be addressed. I requested the Oprah between the mayor and the city of Lambertville, the education. There were no alternatives. The parking lot was taken away without any other alternatives. And our taxpayers, I'm paying taxes, I own the building. My taxpayers are going to that parking lot and my people that come to me can't park in the parking lot. I know, I'm sorry. I'm a little at a loss right now. Sorry.
Anyone else in the room? Do you have anybody online?
What?
How many people do we have today? Have a motion to close the public comment period?
So,
Second. Shannon, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda is resolution number 166-2023. This is a resolution for rescind resolution number 153-2023, rejected bids received for the road projects. There was a problem with the bid process when we went to the state with the road jobs for 2024. So we need to reject it in order to re-award these projects. We need to reject and then rebid the project. An error that was made in the application process. We met with the DOT, and it's a fairly straightforward matter at this point. We just need to move forward by rejecting the bids, resubmitting to the DOT, and then kind of putting the RFP out again. Any questions from the council on this? Okay, I have a motion please to adopt resolution number 168-2023.
second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Carried. Resolution number 167-2023. This would authorize the city of Lambertville to accept a sub-grant award of federal fiscal year 2022 emergency management performance grant and emergency management agency assistance. This is just a resolution to authorize the EMA grant for the 23-24 cycle. We do this every year. It's $10,000. Is that right, Cindy?
That's correct.
Okay, council.
No.
Okay. Have a motion, please.
So,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Next is resolution number 168-2023. This is a resolution to authorize the memorandum of understanding with the Lambertville Board of Fire Commissioners for fire official services not to exceed 16 hours per week at an hourly rate of $25 an hour. So this resolution will allow the city to enter into a shared service agreement with the Board of Fire Commissioners to perform the duties of fire official. Former fire official resigned from position on November 11th, 2023. This will get us through to the end of the year while we consider another arrangement with the fire commissioners. Required by the state to have something in place within 45 days, which we will certainly do if we adopt this resolution. Any questions from the council on this? Okay. Any motion to adopt resolution 168-2023.
so moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Next, it's resolution 169-2023. This was a resolution to appoint Frank Herr to serve as interim fire official for the city of Lambertville, with term expiring December 31st, 2023, for a maximum of 16 hours per week at an hourly rate of $25 an hour. So this is just the next step. We have to appoint a specific person to that role. our former fire official was being paid $25 an hour for a maximum of 16 hours a week. So this will close out the budget here at the current rate. I don't know what the negotiator rate will be for next year. That will be part of next year's budget. Are there any questions from the council about this?
I have one question.
Mhm.
I didn't realize the way this was written, and I don't know the names of all the firemen in town, but. Cindy helped clear that up for me. Frank is a firefighter in the city.
Yes.
And I did not make the connection between the two.
Yeah.
Because it looks like almost the identical description. I understand now why we did it that way.
Right.
But that was my.
Yeah, the regulation for appointing a fire official are very specific, and this is just the order in which we needed to do.
So that's one I just didn't know the fireman.
Yeah, I think that's it. And in fact, we have a number of the firemen who are official, who have the certification of fire official. So if there are no other questions, I would ask for a motion to adopt resolution 169-2023.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Carries unanimously. Next is resolution 170-2023. This is to authorize a change order number 1 to TNA Carpentry in the amount of $3,159.59 for steel brackets and weld posts for the installation of the fence at City Hall. So we bid this out, we awarded it, when we went down, the fence is all there, almost all the parts, but because it's been so long in the basement, there were some missing pieces that have to be fabricated. I'm sorry?
Mr. Henchek's then.
Yes, Mr. Helmchek's fence is going up on Monday. So if we can change order, so.
There we go.
It's all staked out and ready to go, but we need to consider authorization of this change order. Are there any questions about it?
You do a good job, I might have to hire him last.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Looking forward to having a tax event. It's gonna be very pretty. We have no correspondence to speak of. Just a few announcements. The city held its stormwater utility kickoff meeting this week. I had about 15 people from the city, Princeton Hydro and WSP. So we met in City Hall and had a meeting that lasted about 2 hours. I did record, and I will be recording all of those Zoom meetings. There's a Zoom component and an in-person component. So I would ask that the council, I'll send you the link to launch that meeting. Council president was there. And we will be moving forward. We noted in the meeting that the study, the bulk of the study, phase 1 should be complete by June, which would allow the council, if it so decides, time to adopt an ordinance to put it on the agenda. I'm sorry, as a referendum item in November of 2024. So there'll be a lot of talk about this in the coming months. Going to be appointing, or with council's approval, a team of people that will act as stakeholders in the process. So stay tuned for more information on that. Convenience center hours, Saturday, November 4th and 18th, 9 to noon, and then Wednesday, November 15th, 3 to 5. We've got a few items on the list for discussion tonight. We're going to speak about Valley Parking. A couple of things. First, at the next meeting, I expect to be able to bring back to the council a resolution that will authorize the Valley Parking program for Under the Moon. We're working out some of those details. It looks very similar to what we approved last November, I think it was. So Eric is going to follow up with me on a couple of points, and I expect to have that resolution to the council at the next meeting. So and I know that Councilwoman Lambert wanted to discuss Valley Parking down at the Hawk. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you. I was there Saturday night, October 28th, and you know, everybody knows how busy it was around here, and cars were parked illegally, and our police force came down and spoke to them, and apparently, from what I can understand by the way that's they continued to do so. And then I escalated and hopefully, the bad behavior stopped for that evening. But I think it's really important. I support, well, let's just say I support the concept of, what Under the Moon's trying to do and, what Hawk is trying to do, as well as another place, the Lambertville Station. They're all different, but so whereas Under the Moon might need, a pilot program put in place because you're really right in the center of the central business district and there's traffic management is a key concern, right? But when I think about it personally and I step away, I think that there are some really common fundamental guidelines that should be in place, regardless of the location, if you will, of the valet operation. And so what I'd like to see this council do is concurrent with supporting and helping out a pilot for a place like Under the Moon. I'd like to see us organize some guidelines that we can put forth in an ordinance. And I personally don't think that the ordinance needs to be delayed because valet parking is here. And we have 3 different models of how it operates, and that gives us the opportunity to really look at it and say, well, what do we like? What don't we like? And clearly, things we would want the ordinance to say something like cars must be parked in accordance with our parking regulations, right? That you don't want to violate parking. You want to have a traffic management plan, you want to have an overflow plan. And if it's a private lot, the traffic management plan could be almost, it's going to be on our private property, that's our traffic management plan, right? So just because they're not necessarily driving on public streets, I don't think negates the need, or it's more of a proactive approach as opposed to playing whack-a-mole with, everybody that wants to do something and we try to get our heads around it. I feel like we've thought about this, we've looked at it, we have 2 operating models and possibly a third one. And it should be pretty straightforward and not a real complex, ordinance to put forward. And it helps, I think personally, well, I would certainly want to talk to business owners about what's good and what's desirable and not desirable. But I think it helps business owners because what the expectations are, right? What you have, like what you're trying to hit, especially for someone like you, Eric, where you're going to be in a complex situation, right? So, and the goal would be, in my mind, to not have something that's so onerous that you can't operate a valet service, but on the other hand, make sure that it complies with our local rules and regulations and that we have some controls over it so that we don't impose on others who are not potentially using the service at the time. So I guess, bottom line is I'd like to see us move forward, like I said, concurrently with some language for an ordinance. And I'd be happy to work on that, and it'll be my second ordinance that I've written. But no, I won't write it myself. The first one was easy to write. So anyway, but I'd be happy to take that on and kind of drive it and see, no pun intended, see, where we can get with this. So.
Okay, I think that's great. Thank you. More than happy to have you to get underway. I would just note that when people are parked illegally, they're parked illegally. So writing an ordinance to kind of require people to follow the code. I mean, in this instance, I think I wasn't aware of this until I spoke to Lieutenant Brown at this latest incident. So I spoke to Lieutenant Brown the last day or two. In the meantime, as we craft this ordinance, maybe good for Lieutenant Brown and I to go down and meet with the owner of the Hawk and say, we have any complaints, we're gonna come down, we're gonna take you without further, we're not gonna have conversations anymore about this, we're not gonna come down and tell your young employees who started just today that, they can't double park or triple park or park in the sight lines or whatever, we're just gonna come down and enforce, right? So I think that is, in this case, it may be an appropriate thing to do, to go down and have that conversation, right? With the neighbors, if this is a complaint and if this is impacting the neighborhood, we should be enforcing, and, while we're moving ahead to kind of, regulate, in a sensible fashion, whatever programs we see to undertake to benefit both the business community and to be mindful of the neighborhood, needs.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I think in this particular instance, the individual was asked not to do something. He continued to do it. And then when I questioned him about it, he misrepresented what he had been told. And so, yeah, I think the time for the tough conversation is probably here.
If you want help, I'll be glad to, assist.
Okay.
Any other, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
On process. Well, if we're out there ticketing, we're ticketing the car owner, we're not ticketing the valet company,
Yeah,
right?
That would be correct.
Yeah. So it behooves the valet to know that we will be doing it no matter where they park someone else's
Of
car.
course, the last thing a valet wants to do is hand back a car with a ticket. Probably have drop dinner or something, so don't.
If the valet company is parking the car and not doing it properly, they should be,
Well, sure.
they're to do business.
I'm gonna say.
Gotta have it, the ordinance have the valet be cited.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a legal matter, and the car that is in violation is the vehicle that gets ticketed, right? So regardless of who parked it. So, police
Well, we-
sort of laid it on that.
But if I might, I don't want to delay the conversation, but we're gonna look at all aspects of who's responsible, do we license? Valet companies, are they part of the problem or part of the solution? And if we don't have an ordinance that allows them to do it, we can't do that.
I'll give you a scenario that I ran into before in a case that I had where the person who was parking the car had no driver's license.
Oh, there you go.
So there are reasons, we've gotta look at some,
Right.
we've gotta have some minimum requirements for the valet company to honor. You would have thought you're valeting cars, you need a license, this person didn't have it. Optional.
Detail. Yeah, it's like stuff like that, that you kind of, like, to me, this ordinance would sort of pull all those little pieces together.
And if you remember a couple of years ago at the Philadelphia airport, the parking places there, they were having people that were actually taking the cars and driving them around and doing a lot of damage to the car. So gotta think about the people that they're hiring too. So they should be required to do background checks and just some.
Thank you.
It's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. All right, well, we'll get to work on that. I appreciate you stepping up and volunteering to start that, and I'm happy to help out in any way that I can. And just one last point, Bill Opal did make the point, and I think you made it at one point last year about, it's a good idea to have insurance, and there's a lot of good reasons to do this, so.
It makes it easier for other businesses that want to do this, right? They don't, because you're controlling the bad behaviors. So, all right, how's that?
Thank you. Good. The next on the item on the list of discussion is the emergency trust fund account. So this is an account that's been in operation, I'm not sure for exactly how long. It started some years ago when there was a fire in town. And was very helpful to a number of citizens and residents here in town. The account has been largely laid dormant for a number of years. And then when Hurricane Ida hit, there was a lot of interest among residents and businesses to contribute to the needs of the immediate needs of our people. And so the emergency trust fund got a lot of checks, a lot of donations, and was kind of back in service. It was noted by the auditors this year that particular account was not approved by the council at our annual reorg meeting. So what we want to do tonight is just make sure that everybody in the council is comfortable with this account, and if we are, then we'll move forward toward creating a dedication by rider for the account, so that it will be included among the city's many accounts and and that's basically it. So, are there questions about that, or does anybody have any?
Did the auditor give any indication as to why? This account was suddenly so, problematic.
Well, I wouldn't say it's problematic, so the year that
Controversial.
the first year of my mayorship, we had a different auditor who did not flag the account, and I think that was because in 2021, it probably had very little. Or it had some activity kind of toward the end of 2021, but it was still having a fair amount of activity in 2022. And when we switched to auditors, they noted that the account had not been approved by the city council at its annual reorg meeting, and that was it. So the corrective action plan here, the finance team decided was to bring it to the council, bring it to the council's attention to see if there were any questions about the account itself. If we move forward with keeping the account, basically we have a choice. We can either keep the account under a dedication by rider and fold it into the city accounts, or we can close the account. And I'm not personally a fan of closing the account. I think it offers the city something that many municipalities don't have. It offers the city some quick reaction time. We do have occasions when people show up and they don't have a place to stay and something's happened, and we're able to set up a hotel that night, or for a period of time. It's a little unusual in that most municipalities don't have these kind of accounts anymore, that they're referred to county social services or state social services. But this particular account has been, like our director of social services and the other account that she has, which is called what? The state account? Public assistance account, right? Yes, thank you very much, Sue. A public assistance account.
But it was the right answer, so.
Yeah. These are not long-standing accounts, and they've had enormous benefit, I think, to the residents here, and to allow us to continue to be nimble and responsive. I think personally, I think it's a good account to keep, and I would advocate.
I completely agree with you. I just saw how helpful it was after Ida. I mean, it paid for people to get hotel rooms afterwards, people that needed a repair to a car. I mean, it was really critical, and Bambi did a great job helping different families. I think it's very important to have, and I think it makes Lambertville really unique in that. It's a real positive thing. So I think it's a good idea to do it by way of rider, and that way it will be not flagged by the auditors.
Yeah, I think it's great to keep the account, and it's also a great place too, if we get donations like the Delaware Valley Food Pantry had collected money for the city after Ida, and we have a place to put it and then a way to distribute it. And it's always been a goodwill, not a goodwill, but you get to do, the city can do good works, and there are people in need, and it's a great way to be able to respond quickly.
Right.
Rather than to send people. Up to
Well, I think a major advantage of the account is that we know that 100% of the money goes to help our the people in our community. There's no administration, there's no middle entity. So, and that's important.
Yeah, Bambi does a great job.
She does.
Distribute, getting.
She does.
So,
As we talked before, she knows a lot of these families, and she's helped them over the years, so that's invaluable to have that.
Yeah, it's a great asset to have somebody who's had long-standing relationships in the city, as the city's backwards and forwards and all its residents.
Yeah.
So when we decide, when this goes into effect, there'll be guidelines that,
There will be.
so.
So yeah, as part of the conversation about this, so it sounds as though we're gonna move forward, and I'll propose that we have a resolution. It's done by resolution, right? Dedicated
It is
by
a
rider.
resolution, yes.
So at the November 16th meeting, we'll have a resolution support of a dedication by rider for this account. If that resolution passes, the finance team will then make sure that guidelines are reviewed, and we will take a look at them internally, and we will probably ask the auditors to just look over them as well, make sure that the auditor approves of whatever guidelines we bring up to date with that account. So
Will it also be in the when it's done, is that we'll be able to turn it quickly, so in case someone needs money, we don't have to come to a council meeting to ask, or
That's the intention. I mean, we have to see what the finance team recommends and what the auditors recommend.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that having the account as nimble as it is important, right? We don't wanna make somebody come wait 2 weeks to come to a council meeting. It's not I don't think that's the intent of the account. And I wouldn't advocate for that, so, so that's my, it sounds like we're all in general agreement there. That's probably the best way to move forward. Good. And, you know, I meant to look this up, and Sue, I don't know if you have the answer to this. Do we have any idea what the rough balance is in that account?
I think it's about $16,000 now.
Okay,
But during Ida, we did receive like 36,000 in donations.
right,
And a good amount of that was refunded by FEMA.
yeah, which is great.
And we applied for the non-congregate housing. And they did reimburse us about 32,000.
Yeah, 32,000.
So do we put it back in that account?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely we
That's
did.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which went right back into the account, which meant it was then available for other.
That's great.
That's even more perceptive, it's fluid, because at that time, people couldn't wait, you know, they needed a hotel room, so it really served.
And if I can just tell you, people just really came out. I mean, there are homeowners and businesses were just dropping $2,000 to go into that account, and it was just so very much needed during that time, and it is what makes Lambertville very special.
Yeah.
It does. I agree.
All right, thank you, and gratitude for people in Lambertville for
Mhm.
their generosity and for this kind of thinking, right? I think it's important to know. All right, moving on, 2024 planning, just a couple of notes about things coming up. The budget process, we have the budget hearings on November 9th. They will be all day here in this room. They will be recorded. We will hold our usual format, so you're welcome to attend their public hearings, but there's no public comment. As I said in the last meeting, if there are individuals in the community who wish to have questions about a specific departmental budgets, I'm happy to put them in touch with the department heads. But we'll continue with the way we've been doing it for the last few years. The holiday schedule for 2024. Earlier this year, I had a request to look at the holiday schedule from Gwen Seymour, who generated a petition, and I told her that I would read the petition. And then we'll just have a quick conversation about the holiday schedule. Probably won't make any decisions tonight, but it's a good introduction. So Gwen Seymour is a local artist. Collected, I think 64 signatures, 25 residents and about 40 were non-residents. On January 1st, every year, the city of Lambertville decides what holidays we celebrate as a community over the following 12 months. This year, the resolution cancels street sweeping on those days and gives non-contractual employees of the city paid days off as well. Many of the holidays that the city chooses to commemorate are secular, but 2 are religious. These are Good Friday and Christmas. This focus on Christian celebrations acts as an endorsement of one religion over all others, making those who don't celebrate feel excluded, while also failing to represent the progressive values of our community. Let's add a few more religious holidays to Lambertville's official days off in 2024 and beyond, exclamation point. By signing this petition, you are asking our local government to add Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Holi, Diwali, the lunar New Year, Juneteenth, and International Women's Day to our official community holidays. So that was the petition. Just a few words about our holidays. So, you know, our holidays are generally in line with the state holidays. They weren't perfectly last year. We did not celebrate Juneteenth, which was a state holiday last year. And the other one, I think, was Election Day was a state holiday last year. So we didn't have those on our calendar, but we did have New Year's Day, Martin Luther King's birthday, Lincoln. Let's see.
We also have holidays that the state and the federal government do not have.
Well, so last year we had the only holiday that we had was not a state holiday with President's Day.
What about the day before Thanksgiving?
Well,
and the day after
those are
Thanksgiving?
yes, we could get into the weeds with those. I don't want to right now. Those are half-day holidays for employees who work extended hours on other days. So we can talk about that, but according to the resolution, on January 1st last year, the only holiday that we had in addition to, the state's holidays was President's Day, but we didn't have Juneteenth. So, you know, I don't know if anybody has any, first of all, I don't know if anybody has any questions or thoughts about the inclusion of other religious holidays or holidays in general, but I would just open this up for a few minutes to any thoughts that the council may have.
I think we, you know, with the balancing act, that's obviously the residents require, you know, city services, and if we add 12 additional holidays, people are gonna be upset their trash doesn't get picked up and other things. So I mean, it's a balancing act. I understand what they're saying about Christmas and, you know, other secular holidays. I don't know if the response to that is add more secular holidays to that. To me, I think we have a good balance as it is, and I personally would not adjust it.
Just before any other comments, I would note that our employee handbook does note that employees who wish to observe religious holidays not designated as a holiday by the employer may do so without loss of pay by using available personal and vacation days. So if you wish to celebrate Diwali, you may, but it's you know, it would be a personal day or
That's what the state does as well.
Yeah, right. And private corporations typically will not, with the exception of Christmas, which arguably is way more than a religious holiday. Okay, it's a huge, well, we started Christmas decorations in August this year. So I don't think we can call that strictly religious. But what corporate or companies typically do is, you know, rather than offer something like Good Friday specifically, I'm just using that as an example. They'll give maybe, you know, 10 or 11 paid holidays throughout the year. And those paid holidays could include days such as the ones I just mentioned, okay, because they are holidays because we pay people for them and they don't have to use vacation or personal time. But what they'll do is give the employee floating days that they can use at their discretion throughout the year. Because there are people that would like to take off, you know, days.
any other thoughts or comments?
Well, just one follow up to the way the state handles it. Some holidays are not state holidays, but they're acknowledged by the union as important days. The decision is made to do this and walk around the floor
I'm sorry, I'm gonna check.
and leave it to.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and we have, as mayor, you have the power, or the option to do things, you know, to make decisions like. But just, it's just how, they handle tonight. I don't think the state has Lincoln's birthday off.
Lincoln's.
No, it's just President's Day. President's Day is the Monday. The only one is the Juneteenth, which is the state holiday is the Friday, but the federal holiday for Juneteenth is Monday. Because the state made Juneteenth a holiday before the feds made Juneteenth a holiday, and they haven't recognized.
Oh, so it's out of sync. Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of value, I think, in aligning with the state calendar.
And there's also the school calendar as well, so maybe we should just see when parents should be home.
But then it doesn't have it doesn't have election day, but it doesn't have election. Yom Kippur maybe, yeah, Yom Kippur.
And the school calendar is only like 9 months, so it doesn't get July 4th, it doesn't get Labor Day.
It was always great that if you work for the state, that you had off Veterans Day and your child went to school Veterans Day. Like,
I hope you celebrate the veterans on your day without your kids. That's all I understand.
we're going to lunch.
All right, I think we're done with this for the moment. The only other thing I will say is that I think that this year I would like to also include the employees of the city in this discussion. I think that would be a nice thing to do, get some input there. So I don't know that, I think that I knew that last year, and I'm sorry that I didn't do it, but I think it's a good thing to do. And we will do it this year. So we will come back to the council with the proposed holiday schedule. And I thank Gwen for her interest in the diversifying the holidays. I think it's a point well taken. And we'll move on. The other two things I wanted to talk about briefly were staffing. I continue to talk about a business administrator and police officer. These are two positions that I think I'd like to move forward with next year. The business administrator, I'm been talking with the city staff, and we're trying to sort of look at the operation of City Hall holistically. It's very complicated. Cindy and I spent a good solid hour yesterday just talking. I forgot. I don't know. Sometimes I forget how much work there is to do, how many things there are to do all the time. And so, I don't know whether the business administrator is going to be a part-time position or a full-time position. I haven't gotten there, but I feel very strongly that there's more than enough to do, and that we would be well served to have somebody else in-house handling, at a minimum, human resources, which we just cobbled together among ourselves, which is very hard to do. And there's a lot of administrative stuff that, people just have to pick up because there's nobody else to help out with it. And I do a lot of administrative stuff as well. And so we're going to continue to talk about this. I'm probably going to make a decision by the next meeting and ask for the council's support in the form of a resolution for these two positions. The police officer we talked about, as of 2011, we've been down 2 police officers that we have not replaced. And so I feel strongly that this is a good year to do that. We have several officers out for fairly long periods of time for medical reasons. So we're starting the year at a little bit of a deficit, even with Fisher Ziliak starting. So we'll be talking about that again more in detail. But I'm thinking about it a lot. I want to make sure that the city is well run, that somebody's always answering the phone and responding to constituent concerns, answering emails, making sure that really everything is done across the board. We have a high level of service. We talk about this from time to time. A lot of people come in, and we want to treat our residents well and make sure that things get done efficiently. So.
Just add, it might be a good time too to take a look at some things I know we've talked about, which is that I know it's not spelled out in our form of government, but there are like council people here, and it would be great to be able to perhaps have council people, who want to have not time to volunteer, but can oversee, subject matter or subject areas. So to kind of take the burden off of, one central, to delegate a little bit helpful on oversight. We're setting up a new fire commission inspection system. If you want to have somebody do that, or handle, like if we're doing tourism or whatever, that we ought to maybe take a look at having, council people could have oversight, like, but
manage.
manage, in the commission form of government, different commissioners just oversee certain areas. There's a commissioner for public finance, there's a commissioner for for the budget, there's a commissioner for public works, there's a commissioner that to kind of help spread the work around a little bit.
I think that's a great point, and it was something that I was thinking about recently and wanting to talk to you all about individually. Your advocacy here this week, and I will also just thank the council president for picking up the ball with Eric and Moon in the Valley program. I would love to see the council be more active in various, whether it's helping to craft an ordinance or taking an active role in a commission. Obviously the council president serves on the planning board. You serve on the Human Rights Council. There are opportunities for us across the board. In terms of the city administration, I do have some concerns about sort of council members. Short-term projects within the administration are fine, but I have to think about continuity and kind of a long-term approach, right? So not everybody's going to be in every role for long periods of time. So while I'm completely open to that idea, I think in terms of the city hall activities, it becomes a little harder because, as a chief administrator, I do have to oversee everything. I am responsible for everything. So, adding additional council people sometimes can add a layer of complexity. Certainly the councilwoman is gonna sit on the finance, right? You're gonna sit on the finance team this year, which is very welcome. So, that's a value. If there's something in particular that you want to do, I'm more than welcome to it. Maybe Evan and I can start, Councilman Lyman and I can start talking a little bit about affordable housing, all kinds of things that can happen. But in terms of kind of the day-to-day operation of the city, I think it really has to be the city employees, and myself and whoever else is in the city hall, just for continuity's sake. But I'm open to hearing all ideas and to considering everything.
But can I ask the councilwoman, so what you just described, would that be an oversight of the city employees who are executing the duties in that area? Is that how it works, or it's not that specific?
I'm not getting that down into the weeds. I don't. It's not like CRB, and it's only what to do managerially. It's just that we have different projects that, folks can oversee. I mean, I'm elected here for 3 years. Everybody's here for 3 years, so,
Right.
they're here,
You're saying not all this stuff has to fall on the mayor.
well, they're there, yeah. I
We can
mean,
help distribute some of that
yeah,
stuff.
because there are different subject matter areas that, we have affordable housing responsibilities, we have the downtown, we have, the budget, whatever it is, that we could be more regularly participating in or doing, or helping to manage a project, not helping to manage. See, or Cindy, or I would, ride around with, Bob Brown and write tickets. I'm not doing that. No, but I just felt it by the hand.
Yeah,
So parking enforcement would be great.
Right.
How about parking?
You can keep an eye on the valet service. Exactly.
Oh, we already have someone.
Jason P.
No, I think it's a point well taken. I mean, I can think of several projects that would be great to hand off. So, I'm meeting with people down in the north end of town, talk about Alexandra Creek, and they want to form a committee of people and do things. I would love to have somebody take that, kind of take that responsibility. So let's give it a little thought, and I'll have individual conversations. And why don't we circle back at the first December meeting and see what we come up with for next year. I'm not interested in doing all the work. I can tell you that much. And I'm grateful when you guys step in, and I'd love to see a little bit more structure with that personally. So thank you.
A question about administrator, are we gonna explore maybe sharing?
Yes.
With another community?
So I just talked to Brad Meyer, the mayor of Frenchtown today, and I've got to set a meeting with him because they're interested in doing a shared service for a business administrator, 2 days, 3 days. They find themselves in the same position we do, at least in terms of human resources. It's very hard to manage human resources effectively when you have a part-time staff, which is what they have.
Yeah, and I know we have an ordinance that describes the jobs of of that role, and I think we have to revisit that as well as if we're going along this path to have an administrator. Just fine tune it a little, that's all.
Yep. And I'm really not wedded to a full-time administrator. I love working full-time. I do. I get a kick out of it. But I'm really trying to be mindful about the long term, right? So whether, I don't know who the mayor is gonna be in 2025, but whoever that is, I just want to make sure that we're seamlessly moving forward toward making our operation more professional, more supportive of our existing staff, and more streamlined and efficient. So.
Someone can manage it while someone else is managing it.
I'm taking vacation this year, so
Yeah.
it's gotta be around. I am. So, yeah, making myself take vacation. All right, so we'll continue to have those conversations at this point. Nobody else has any last remarks on that subject. I'm going to open it back up to public participation. Same rules apply as earlier in the evening. You have 3 minutes. If you could step to the podium and state your name and address, and give your remarks for 3 minutes. And Lindsay will let you know if there's a running out of time.
Judy Gleason, 86 North Union Street. I have a couple of items that I want to just go to a little bit. There was a time, I think it might have been 2 years ago, not sure, wasn't really ready to look this up, but we went over the holiday schedule issue. And it looked as though we had a lot of holidays, and the discussion was we were gonna revisit the whole holidays thing. And I couldn't tell whether that's been done and is folded into this to do something else or add more or do something. But it seems as though whatever you talk about the next time could start with where it was talked about as this is an issue we need to visit because we had so many holidays and we had so many paid holidays. And whenever we're looking at budget increase, we need to remember that the public is thinking about that, and perhaps it would be helpful to know about that when you're talking about holidays. Second thing is the budget hearings. I have been to the budget hearings, but I don't know if I request whatever written submission goes to the person who runs the budget hearing, so that I know, I can't say anything, I know that, but is there some sort of written submission that a person gives over to the, our budgeting guru who runs those budget hearings? Is there something that says, this is what my budget is, and this is why I need this, and this is why you should keep giving me this, and this is why I need something else? Instead of having it be like I saw, which was, this is my budget, and this is what it cost me, and I want that again. Okay, next. Because I think we learned last year, we really don't, the town, many people in town, I'm gonna say majority, but I don't know, want to know where we can do a better job with our budget and maybe spend less. So is there, I mean, you can answer me when I'm done here, obviously. Can I get whatever they're gonna give the budget person? So that I can see what they're justifying, what they're saying they have and they need or want more of or whatever it might be. And then the third thing is about the bridge and the pedestrian closure, and that is, I didn't really know from the discussion that took place what you all think you can do and what will happen and what we'll hear. Because something in terms of a communication strategy, something in terms of working still on the pedestrian thing is really, really key. And the communication strategy, people get off the highway to go either here or to New Hope. We need to have work with transportation on signage, whatever it is, so people know the bridge is closed or the bridge is temporarily slowed down or whatever we're gonna say. Thank you.
Good evening, Paul Stevens, 3940. Just to reiterate about this emergency fund, I'm a CERT member. I've been twice already this year where I've seen it made a really big difference. It wasn't a big thing like I had. It was 2 fires, one up at Heritage Village and one of them at the housing development. It's right across from a grade school. And just having that for those people for that night or two to get them to a hotel made a really big difference in their lives. All right. And so, yes, it's great that money flowed in for item. It's also for more smaller things that are just as devastating to our residents here at times. Thanks. Anyone else in the room?
Ally Winkle, 32 Bridge Street. So I just wanted to know, if I can have this answered, how much communication have we had with the mayor of New Hope about the bridge?
You have other things to ask?
And what are we waiting for communication to go out? When are we gonna actually see that timeline?
Okay, I've not had any communication with the mayor of New Hope. And in terms of communication, you know, as the councilwoman said, Tara is going to talk to the Bridge Commission on Monday or Tuesday, and after to follow up with me on the telephone. We're trying to get information about the specifics. It's still the specific information still not available from the Bridge Commission about the shuttle, for example. So, you know, while the county is going to start working on drafting a number of communications, and so we'll go 100 you know, until we get specific information from the Bridge Commission, you know, I can't give you any specifics, I don't have them.
So I've been a first responder for 10 years. Have you ever been to save somebody's life before?
I'm not gonna get.
Has anyone saved anybody's life? Have anyone been a first responder? So saving lives, when you cut off the carotid artery, which is one way in and out, and then you do both, people die. So we need a better way in the system, and I'm waiting for somebody else from Hunterdon or another place to do what the city should be doing. I can't wait for, I'm not gonna die. My business will not die. It's not gonna happen. So we really need to come up with an alternative now, since they anticipate the closure being in December. It's now November. I just wonder how much longer we should wait as business owners.
Anybody else in the room? Is anybody in line? Okay, I have a motion to close the public comment period.
So
Second,
Second.
all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Just a couple of points, Judy's. Comments, so, you know, I'd have to go back through the minutes to sort of see where these conversations went. It's been a long time. But, you know, I don't know if Cindy has any recollection specifically. I mean, I don't necessarily honestly think that we need to get into. I mean, it's about moving forward and the conversations ahead. For me, but do you have anything?
I can just briefly give a very quick overview, and that was with Mayor. Well, actually, go all the way back to Mayor Del Vecchio. He used to give, you know, let us leave early, but it was unannounced, and we had complaints from the public because came to City Hall was closed, they didn't know about it. So Mayor Fall thought that she would formalize things a little bit, and felt very bad because of, you know, employee salaries being so low, and felt this was a way that she could compensate people for, you know, not making a great salary. So we went from having the, what is it, 13 paid holidays a year to where there were times where the day before a holiday we would leave early. Or there were times when it was a long weekend and maybe there was a holiday on Tuesday, like July 4th, we would get Monday off. So basically, Councilwoman Lambert, I believe it was last year, expressed concern about the number of holidays that were given. And the handbook does say the 13 holidays. And so we cut it back. I don't want to speak for all of the employees, but you know, a lot of them were upset by that. So we went back to the 13 plus, you know, we did take the day off between, I guess it was a Monday, there was a July 4th was on a Tuesday. And then we closed early on Halloween, but we had another day where, you know, it was a Friday, when there was a Friday holiday, people at City Hall, you typically only work 3.5 hours on a Friday. And so when other people get the full time off, City Hall employees, you know, who work late on Tuesdays till 7:30 lose out. We lose out on time. So, you know, we had another holiday, don't remember what day it was, but that made up for it. So we did go back to the 13 days. And, you know, I know some employees wanted a say in that. And so the mayor has agreed to meet with them.
So to be clear, how many paid holidays are there this year?
There are, well, it's 13 in the handbook, and so we got the 14, because we got that Monday. That was between, I think July 4th was a Tuesday, we got the Monday. And Councilwoman, you did bring up that Tuesday night was a late night for us, but we did make that up on another holiday where other employees got a full Friday. In a sense, we only got 3 hours.
Right, and I think, if you recollect, I actually did a spreadsheet for if the holiday falls on a Tuesday, if the holiday falls on a Friday,
Right.
how to adjust the work week.
Right, it's here in the resolution that we adopted on January 1st. So, you know, we're gonna take a look at this and, you know, I think that the city,
if the city wants to continue, I'm not, I think I'll have to speak to the employees. You know, I think my general sense is that if an employee can work a half day on Friday, that's a good thing, and that they're willing to work late on Tuesday. I also happen to think that that's a good thing, because that allows people to come in after work, residents, right, who don't, you know, who can't make it in during business hours. So, you know, I think that that's a good trade-off for both the residents and for the city hall employees. And so naturally, when a holiday falls on a Friday, you know, technically, the city hall employees are losing out on 3 hours unless we compensate for it somewhere else. So it's complicated, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll have a conversation like we always do, and unless there's anything specific from anybody else.
I just think an easy thing to do is to add
Yeah.
to it. I think it's a very important holiday to celebrate. We have not celebrated before, so.
I agree.
that's an easy-
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, outreach is the best one to
But
add.
Are
Like,
we
is the-
increasing the number of holidays by adding it? That's my question.
Oh, and you would.
We can, that's just something to think about.
So moving on to your question about submissions for the budget hearings, Judy, so the way the budget hearings work are, you know, the salary and wages are projected by the time of the budget hearing, they're projected by, as you know, the salary and wages typically don't get discussed during the budget hearing, so it's the individual department head line items. And those numbers are always fluid, we're not gonna give them to the public in any kind of written form, right? Because we're constantly changing them. So the point of the budget hearings is that each department head comes in and Mr. Drulis asks, okay, here's line item number 1, your professional training. Does it really cost, you know, last year we spent $5,000. Does it really cost $5,000? And the department head says, no, the rates have gone up from the DEP or whatever, it's gonna cost $6,000. So we go through every single line in the entire budget. But that doesn't mean that that line item is going to stay that number, because what happens is things get moved around. That we're constantly refreshing and moving things around right up until the time we introduce the budget. Some of it is just, okay, well, maybe we can cut here to you know, to add money for trees or whatever the priority is, right? So every year there are new priorities, there are new expenses, and we do our best to offset them. And you'll see that when we go through, if you actually go to all the hearings, which are, you know, they're quite frankly a little tedious and tiring, but they're important because every single department head has to explain the need for every single line item. And you know, if you have a particular question, if something hurts your, you know, your interest, and you hear somebody say $5,000 and they explain that, and then you have a question about that, you know, then certainly you can go to that department head, or you can ask me about it, a specific item, and I will follow up about any specific item. That doesn't mean I want to follow up about every line item or that every department head should, because things change right up until the time we introduce the budget. So, you know, we do not release any part of the budget while it's a working document. There's just too much influx. And we don't get state numbers until a certain time. We get the state numbers in, and maybe they're higher or lower, and so we've got to cut back in some area where we thought we were going to be okay. So you know, it's a moving target really, and it's complicated. And finally, you know, so
I would add too that they would be considered draft items, and we do not make a draft, you know, available to the public.
Judy, I even asked for it, and I couldn't even get it, guys, so don't feel left out.
well, and as the councilwoman will see during the finance committee meetings, I mean, things change every single meeting. I mean, we go through the draft document 4 or 5 times before we you know, Mr. Jules will say, what are your priorities, Mayor? And I'll say, here are my priorities. And then he'll come back and say, well, you can't have this, or you have to cut this off, or whatever.
We're looking for $10,000, and then every
$10,000.
department head is like, what can you give back? You know,
So we start with the big numbers, and we're always working to kind of
usually comes down to $10,000,
Yeah.
where can we cut $10,000?
So yeah, as long as these documents are draft form, we can't really release them, but if you have specific questions, we're happy.
But if they're here and they're discussed, they can hear them.
They can hear them, absolutely, and you know, they're also recorded. You know,
Yeah.
they're available online, and you know, people tend not to want to sit around and listen to them online.
It's kind of like baking a cake.
Attendance here is very sparse, I would say. I've been to the budget hearings for the last 3 years.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in the $50 book that the tax assessor needs.
And also, when we put it online, we don't get a lot of hits. People
Yeah.
don't tend to,
Yeah, back in 2021, I think there were 2 views, and I wasn't one of them, I can tell you that. And, you know, I think we've talked enough about the bridge for tonight. I mean, we're doing our best to get information, and, you know. And again, I'm gonna thank Karen, and I'm gonna thank, people who are trying to get the information for the community. Also, you know, we're still trying to think of ways that we can kind of help out with the business community. So, you know, one of the ideas that I have, I want to talk to Lisa Voorhees about, and I'm open to ideas from the business community, is you know, bagging the meters for a couple of weekends over the course of the winter, right? What would be the 2 best weekends where we could drive traffic into the city by bagging the meters? I know Valentine's Day does not fall on a weekend, but you know, I think that there are a couple of things that we can do as well on our end. So I'll be looking to talk to Lisa about that, hopefully introducing, I think it has to be done by ordinance, right, Cindy?
well, if you suspend the meters, you can do that by resolution.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, just to suspend, if
Okay.
it's not going to be a consistent thing, but if it's something you're going to do repeatedly, then you should do it by
Okay.
ordinance.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk to the council about that. We're happy to take some thoughts from the community about that as an opportunity. Again, open to other things.
And you're meeting with the chamber every month, Lisa, to go meet.
Yes, yeah. So I am meeting with Lisa Voorhees every month to talk about these things, and yeah. All right, I think we are ready to ask for a motion to adjourn.
We have to close public.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought, did we do that? Okay.
Oh, yeah, you did that.
We did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did, you're right.
Shall we have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I didn't hear about the, this is not, we're close, I mean, we're done, about how Halloween, how many people came